I'd like to call the May 28th, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting to an order. If you are able, would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? May we have the roll call, please?
Thank you, Chair Ursulee. Commissioner Petty?
Here.
Commissioner Fikes? Commissioner Fikes? Sorry.
Here.
Vice Chair Ursulee?
Here.
Commissioner Kraus?
Here.
Commissioner Woodard?
Here.
Commissioner Reveal?
Here.
And Chair Twait is absent. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Before we get the agenda approval, I would like to bring your attention to the laydown materials. We have the additional materials and revisions, requested additions to the packet, adding item F1, public comment for PZ 2025-18. Is there a motion to approve the agenda and consent agenda with the laydown materials?
I move to approve the agenda and the consent agenda along with the layouts, laydowns.
Second.
Would the clerk please read the consent agenda items into record?
Thank you, Chair. Approval of the regular meeting minutes of May 14th, 2025. New business, action approval requesting an excused absence for the May 14th, 2025 regular meeting by Commissioner Petty, and that is your consent agenda.
Are there any public comments on any of the consent agenda items just read by the clerk? Public?
You're asking the public for comment?
Just on the items that were read into the consent agenda at this time.
Seeing no public comments, are there any other revisions to the agenda? Seeing none, are there any objections on approving the agenda and consent agenda? Hearing no objections, the agenda and consent agenda are approved. We have no scheduled public comment. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak to anything that is not on the agenda?
There's no one online.
Is there a motion to approve Resolution PZ 2025-20?
I move to approve Resolution PZ 2025-20, recommending approval for preliminary plat, West Ward Estates Edition Number 2 for a subdivision of Government Lot 16 and SE 1/4 southwest, 1/4 northeast, 1/4 southeast, 1/4, and southeast 1/4, northeast 1/4, southeast 1/4, section 26, township 6 north, range 12 west, Seward Meridian to the Kenai Peninsula Borough in the rural residential RR zoning district.
Second.
Director Buettner, can we have a staff report, please?
Thank you, Vice Chair Ersley. Let's get to the right page. Preliminary plat has been submitted from Peninsula Surveying LLC on behalf of the property owner for a subdivision of Government Lot 16 and southeast 1/4, southwest 1/4, northeast 1/4, southeast 1/4, and southeast 1/4, northeast 1/4, southeast 1/4, section 26, township 6 north, range 12 west, Seward Meridian, to create 3 parcels and dedicate right-of-way to be called Wells Way, which is an extension of the existing Wells Way. Current improvements include 2 single-family dwellings, a driveway with parking area, and 2 on-site septic systems. Our analysis that the proposed replat meets the minimum lot size of 20,000 square feet for the rural residential zoning district. The size of the smallest proposed lot is approximately 145,621 square feet, or 3.343 acres. City water is available along Wells Way and has been installed on proposed Lot 2, and the property owner intends to install water concurrent to installation of a new driveway on proposed Lot 1. City wastewater is not available along Wells Way, therefore private septic systems have been installed on proposed Lots 1 and 2. The private septic systems are subject to the regulatory requirements of the State of Alaska Department of Environmental Conservation. Access to the proposed lots is provided via Wells Way, an unmaintained gravel city road. The section of Wells Way right-of-way within the proposed preliminary plat is newly dedicated as of this plat, and in accordance with public use easement recorded in Book 390, page 729, Kenai Recording District, as denoted in Plat Note 10. The proposed dedicated right-of-way is along the existing Wells right-of-way. The City of Kenai Public Works Department has reviewed the preliminary plat and has no comments. Therefore, staff finds that an installation agreement is not required for the preliminary plat. 15-foot easement for utilities is located along the east boundary of the proposed lots adjacent to Wells Way, as denoted in Plat Note 3, which states that the front 15 adjacent to rights-of-way is in a utility easement. The western approximately 135 feet of tideland area of proposed lots 1 and 2 have been designated by FEMA as regulatory flood zone VE, described as coastal high hazard zone. The upland remainder of proposed lots 1 and 2 and all of proposed lot 3 have been designated by FEMA as non-regulatory flood zone D, described as undetermined flood risk. Prior to development, the City of Kenai floodplain administrator should be contacted for information regulations, as denoted in Plat Note 7. The City of Kenai floodplain administrator has reviewed the preliminary plat and has no comments. Staff finds that the preliminary plat for subdivision of Government Lot 16, and I apologize, southeast 1/4, southwest 1/4, northeast 1/4, southeast 1/4, and southeast 1/4, northeast 1/4, and southeast 1/4, section 26, township 6 north, range 12 west, Seward Meridian meets following Title 14 Kenai Municipal Code sections and aligns with the intent of the zoning code. 1, the preliminary plat, subject to listed conditions, provides utility access, easements, provide satisfactory and desirable building sites, that the right-of-way within the preliminary plat is newly dedicated and is continuation of an existing street and is determined acceptable access. The preliminary plat meets city standards for minimum lot size in the rural residential zoning district, and the preliminary plat meets city standards for minimum lot width, depth, and access utility easements. Considering all of these, the staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat of Ward Estates with the following conditions: that the further development of the property will conform to all federal, state of Alaska, and local regulations.
Thank you, Director Buettner. I would like to open it up for public comment with regard to Resolution PZ 202520.
There's no one online.
Seeing no one else wishing to speak, we will bring it back to the commission to discuss.
I have a question for staff. So Wells Way is an unmaintained road, and you're adding additional properties and development onto the area. So who is going to be in charge of snow removal or signage in that area?
At this time, Wells Way is not a formal road, is essentially, the right-of-way is there dedicated, but has not been fully developed into an actual road. It is essentially a driveway to these properties as it exists currently. There's one residence now, there was another one closer to the bluff that has since been relocated. This formalizes that arrangement, but doesn't change the access. So the development that is there is just being more formalized instead of, and potential is there for further expansion, that if it is developed, the city would seek to have the road improved. But at this time, with the only 2 residents being served, we didn't find the need to have the entire road redone at this time.
Is it eligible for a sign?
There is a sign down where it intersects. I believe I would have to look at the road. It's off Cook Inlet Drive, near Lilac. There's supposed to be a sign. If there is not, there should be a sign, and we would make sure there's one up there.
Fantastic, thank you.
Hi, okay, so on Government Lot 15, this one here that's not on the plat, do we know if the owner of these other lots has any type of formal or handshake agreement with Government Lot 15 for access? Because when I drove down there, there appeared to be a driveway that led off to that side. I see it's also serviced by pay on the other side, but that's where the driveway seemed to come down from.
At this time, there's no agreement with Government Lot 15 that they're not using that. The likely, for Lot 3, which is not improved at this time, does not have a house or anything. Newly formed 3 would come off of Wells Way, which also could be extended to the north,
Sure.
to the east, but
But Lot 15.
which is,
Are we landlocking Lot 15? That's what I'm worried about.
no, Pay Drive, they could access from Pay Drive to Lot 15.
But they're currently accessing through this driveway. That's why I want to know if there's a handshake agreement or any type of an easement agreement that allows them to access through this driveway that we'd be cutting them off now.
It's the same owner. The Lot 15 is owned by the same owner who put this plat together. They're not planning on dividing it. If future development happens on 15, if they do plan to subdivide that, their intent would be to come off Pay Drive and make it a cul-de-sac at that end.
So
There's
pay
no
would-
structures on Lot 15?
No, they're on lots 1 and 2. They're very close to the property line on 15, but they are supposed to be just south on Lot 2, and then the other one's going to be on Lot 1.
When I drove down there. I drove down there today.
There was a house further out, and that house has since been moved closer. So there was a driveway, but it's not currently being used or serving any structure.
Can we call for a vote or request unanimous consent?
If there's no objections, I'd like to request unanimous consent, please.
I'll second that.
Hearing no objections, it is approved. Is there a motion to approve Resolution PZ 2025-18, consideration of a conditional use permit to operate a retail marijuana store on the property described as Cole Homestead Subdivision, Tract A, located at 7825 Kenai Spur Highway in the General Commercial Zoning District?
I make a motion to approve Resolution PZ 2025-18.
Second.
May we get a staff report, please?
Yes. The applicant is requesting to develop and operate a retail marijuana facility at 7825 Kenai Spur Highway. Conditional use permit is required to operate a retail marijuana facility within the General Commercial Zoning District. Pursuant to Kenai Municipal Code 1420-150A, the intent of the conditional use permit is to allow some uses that may be compatible with the designated principal uses in specific zoning districts, provided certain conditions are met. These criteria are outlined below. Criteria 1, the use is consistent with the purpose of this chapter of the Kenai Zoning Code and the purposes and intent of the zoning district. The proposed development would meet the intent of the General Commercial Zoning District. The General Commercial Zone provides for a range of uses. Located along Kenai Spur Highway, the proposed development location would seek to maximize exposure to traffic while reducing adverse impacts to surrounding residential areas by avoiding use of less trafficked streets. Access to and from the site would be from the Kenai Spur Highway. Development of this parcel would require the demolition of the existing Quonset hut, which is in disrepair. Improvements to this parcel would likely be considered a catalyst for future commercial developments nearby. Staff finds that the proposed use meets the intent of the General Commercial Zoning District. Criteria 2, the economic and non-economic value of the adjoining property and neighborhood will not be significantly impaired. Existing trees and vegetation offer screening between the commercial property and nearby residential properties. Commercial developments are subject to site plan and landscape requirements per Kenai Municipal Code. Any proposed developments would need to meet those requirements, which offer protections to existing developed properties. Staff finds that the proposed use would not impair the economic and non-economic value of adjacent properties and neighborhood. 3, that the proposed use is in harmony with the comprehensive plan. The land use plan from 2016 comprehensive plan identifies the subject property within the general commercial land use classification. General commercial is intended for land uses which are typically retail, service, and other businesses that serve Kenai and the larger region. This type of development generally requires larger parcels of land and access to major arterial roadways such as the Kenai Spur Highway. The surrounding uses consist of mostly empty commercial lots to the north, a commercial enterprise on the lot to the east, a single-family dwelling to the south, and empty lots with heavy tree cover to the west. Zoning surrounding this parcel is general commercial in all directions. There are 2 limited commercial lots to the northwest across the highway. Criteria 4. Public services and facilities are adequate to serve the proposed use. City water and sewer is not in the vicinity of the subject property, but on-site water and wastewater treatment and disposal systems are in place. The applicants are required to be compliant with wastewater disposal requirements of the Kenai Peninsula Borough, Chapter 20.40, and regulatory requirements of the Alaska Department of Environmental Conservation. The Kenai Spur Highway is a paved road which is state maintained. The proposed use will not be harmful to the public safety, health, and welfare. Per Kenai Municipal Code 1420-330F, standards for commercial marijuana establishments, no portion of a parcel upon which any commercial marijuana establishment is located shall be permitted to be within the following buffer distances. So the first one is schools, 1,000 feet from any primary and secondary schools, and 500 feet from any vocational programs, post-secondary schools, including but not limited to trade, technical, or vocational schools, colleges, and universities, recreation or youth centers, correctional facilities, churches, and state licensed substance abuse treatment facilities, providing substance abuse treatment. Staff measure the distance from the southwest corner of the subject parcel to the nearest point of a parcel containing Mountain View Elementary at 315 Swires Road. This distance is calculated to be 1,186.7 feet. Number 2. Buffer distances shall be measured as the closest distance from the perimeter of a standalone commercial marijuana establishment structure to the outer boundaries of the school, recreation, or youth center, or the main public entrance of a church, correctional facility, or substance abuse treatment facility. If the commercial marijuana establishment occupies only a portion of the structure, buffer distances are measured with the closest distance from the perimeter of the closest interior wall, segregating the commercial marijuana establishment from other uses. Staff measured the distance from the northwest corner of the subject parcel, which is outside the building and even closer, to the nearest point of the parcel containing Seventh-day Adventist Church at 701 Swires Road. This distance is calculated to be 2,001.89 feet. Staff finds that the proposed development meets the buffer distances as a part of the siting requirements. Pursuant to Kenai Municipal Code 142330, the following conditions apply to retail marijuana stores. 1, on-site consumption is prohibited on the premises of the proposed commercial marijuana establishment. 2, the proposed retail marijuana store shall not emit an odor detectable by the public from outside establishment. 3, the proposed marijuana establishments may not conduct business on or allow any customer or consumer to access the licensed premises between the hours of 5 a.m. and 8 a.m. daily. Let's see. Pursuant to Kenai Municipal Code, notices of public hearing for the conditional use were mailed to all real properties on record in the Borough Assessor's records within a 500-foot periphery of the parcel affected by the proposed action. The notice periphery will be expanded until a minimum of 30 different property owners are available for notification. This differs slightly from our normal noticing for conditional use permits. Makes it more stringent and goes out further. City staff published notice of the public hearing in the Peninsula Clarion. City staff submitted an affidavit opposing, verifying a sign was placed on the parcel with information on the public hearing. No public comments had been received at the time of the report, but were included in the laydown that was provided. Staff recommendation. Staff finds that the proposed conditional use permit to develop and operate a retail marijuana facility at 7825 Kenai Spur Highway on the property described as R.S. Cole Homestead Subdivision Tract A meets the criteria for issuance of a conditional use permit as set forth in subsections E1 through E6 of Kenai Municipal Code 142150, and hereby recommends that the Planning and Zoning Commission adopt Resolution PZ 2025-18 approving the conditional use permit, subject to the following conditions. 1, any development or use of the property shall comply with all applicable federal, state of Alaska, and city regulations, regardless of whether or not the requirements are listed as condition for the approval of the conditional use permit. 2, upon request, the applicant or applicant's representative shall meet with city staff for an on-site inspection. 3, on-site consumption is prohibited on the premises of the proposed commercial marijuana establishment. 4, the proposed marijuana store shall not emit an odor detectable by the public from outside establishment. And 5, the proposed marijuana establishment may not conduct business on or allow any customer or consumer to access the licensed premises between the hours of 5 a.m. and 8 a.m. daily.
Thank you, Director Buettner. Is the applicant present? If you'd approach the podium and introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Michael Welch, owner of 7825 Kenai Spur Highway. I bought this building a couple of years ago, slowly starting to renovate it now. I do own another retail store on K Beach Road. Had that one going since 2020. Everything's going fine over there. So that's it.
Yes. Are we allowed to ask a question for the individual?
We doing, yes.
Is your establishment or business on K Beach a marijuana establishment?
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
What's the name of the property on K Beach?
Are there any other questions
Yeah.
from commissioners?
Did you buy the property with this in mind, or just bought the property for whatever?
it went off. I bought the property with the intent of growing in the marijuana industry. And then after buying it, speaking with the planning department, I found out I was not allowed to do that with a parcel so small. So that's when the plans changed to the retail store.
This one is being planned for a retail store, not a cultivation?
Yes, retail store.
Through the chair, just to clarify, there'll be no cuttings or clippings or anything taking place?
No, there will be no cultivation whatsoever.
I have a question for staff. Is there any rule about how far different establishments can be from one another, being as there's one just down the road?
I will double check. To our knowledge, is not between ones of certain uses, especially the biggest buffer I've seen is 1,000 feet. That being from the school, everything else has been less than 1,000 feet. But similar uses, I do not believe that there's a buffer for those.
Through the chair, just as a reference, the state, I believe, talked about limiting the properties or the establishments, but there was never anything finalized. There was discussion at the city level as well as should we have 3 of them in our district, 4 of them in our district? But again, nothing was finalized. There was just discussion.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak to Resolution PZ 2025-18? Please approach the podium and state your name.
Hello, my name is Reed Nackstead. And continue. Approach the podium and state your name. Okay, well, my feelings probably don't have a whole lot of matter in this. Looks like it's pretty much done, but I don't believe that we should have retail marijuana or marijuana cultivation. And so I have issues with this being so close to my house and the school. And my house is closer than the school. And my property is probably 500 feet from there. And I don't know, I just think that the city and the borough don't have tight enough regulations, like you mentioned, being close together, and you could have a whole mall of retail growing places. And I'd rather not see this approved. Actually, that's what I came to say. If you need more whys, I got, how I feel, what I know about marijuana use firsthand. That's it from me then. Any questions?
Thank you. I would like to say thank you for coming and giving us your insight and thoughts on this, sir. And I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public that wishes to speak?
There is no one online.
Seeing no one else wishing to speak, we'll bring it back to the commission for discussion again.
I guess my question is for the applicant, if you wouldn't mind coming back up possibly. I apologize, it may be in the paperwork, but I'm not seeing it. I'm just curious what your hours of operation, if they will be as the others are, or if you have a specific mindset?
I just planned on doing what I do over at Cold Smoke right now, and in the winter and spring, we're open 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., 5 days a week, and then we stay open until midnight Friday and Saturday. And then for the summer, June, July, and August, we're open 8 a.m. to midnight, 7 days a week.
And is there any restrictions on your hours from the state level?
Just the ones that you spoke about. It's statewide, you can't operate between 5 a.m. and 8 a.m.
Great, thank you.
I'd like to call for a vote or request unanimous consent. Are there any other commissioner comments? I'd like to request a call for the vote.
Thank you. Commissioner Fikes?
Yes.
Vice Chair Ersley?
Yes.
Commissioner Kraus?
Yes.
Commissioner Woodard?
No.
Commissioner Reveal?
No.
And Commissioner Petty?
Yes.
You have 4 yes votes and 2 no votes. Resolution PZ 2025-18 is approved.
Thank you. Please note that there is a 15-day period that an aggrieved party can file an appeal with the clerk's office. Moving on to unfinished business. Director Buettner, can we have a report on the Aspen Creek project?
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair Ersley. I was actually out there today, kind of unscheduled and unprompted, but I was doing a ride along with the police, so we happened to show up. But we were at Aspen Creek. We have not done the traffic counts yet. I apologize. Being down a person, I haven't been able to get out there for any length of time. But the plan is next week, things are winding down a little bit, so I'm planning to get out there to do at least 3 spot traffic counts, be out there for about an hour, weather permitting, but hopefully it's nice. There's a few things that got some landscape contractors out there today to kind of finalize, but to my knowledge, when I did talk to Mr. Clegg today, who happened to be here in town, the internal construction is done, so the vast number of contractors is down. I only saw 2 work vans in the back parking lot when I was there this afternoon. But I will have a more definitive report and presentation at our next meeting.
Moving on to reports. Oh, I'm sorry, question?
Yes. When you're doing your count, how will you differentiate between individuals who live there and individuals who don't live there, and visitors and staff there at the home? How will you differentiate that?
My plan, after talking with the owner, is to be in the back, near the back entrance. I'll only be focusing on those people using that area, assuming that the front would be used as normal. He has assured me that if I give him a list of the different types of vehicles that I'm seeing, he knows what his employees drive. And if there is, let's say, a work vehicle or something that isn't emblazoned with an actual a company, we would have questions about those, but most, like the trash, their vendors should have some sort of marking on their car. Well, and if we're going to try to do a few different times, so we're going to do round shift change just to see what those traffic patterns are, and then just kind of a random spot inspection, just kind of show up and do it. Just see what the volume patterns are at different types of days so that we get a better feel of what's actually going on.
Moving on to reports. Director Buechner, can we have your staff report, please?
I'll keep this short and sweet. Just starting to put data together, some preliminary stuff to look at, formulating a very high-level existing conditions report on transportation in Kenai to kick off the transportation planning process. So it'll be my labor of love over the next 12 months. Hopefully, have it ready to be approved by about this time next year. But just trying to get a handle, what do we have, what do we want? So there'll be more public engagement coming in the near term, but I will keep you guys abreast of the progress of the plan as we start moving down the wickets. We'll definitely be relying on a lot of feedback from this body and people of the public just to get a feel for what we want to see in Kenai in the next 20 to 25 years, which is the horizon for this plan.
Through the chair, is this an impact study for driving additional grant funding, or is this just an impact study to gather insights for our own departments?
A little bit of both. A lot of the data will be used for grant funding, for communicating the city's wants and needs to the Alaska DOT. It's going to be all modes, so it's going to be motorized, non-motorized, so bike trails, ATV trails, basically anything that's within our boundaries that people can walk or roll any way they're going. Grant funding is primary, but it's also going to feed in data to our comprehensive plan that starts this time next year, and also give some additional future planning for our Public Works Department. They're more focused on the capital, what's happening in the next 5 years, and this is going to kind of be the hopper where we put in projects that are a little bit further out, and then we can kind of start working to get funding and get those happening.
And would this be in conjunction with the hazard mitigation plan? Would there be some of the data that you glean from or compare to?
At this time, the hazard mitigation plan is on hold due to the requirements of FEMA changing. Right now, there is no funding to complete the plan like we used to use. It could come back. We just don't know what the federal administration is doing regarding the funding mechanism for that. So at this time, we pushed pause on that, and that's why we're going to skip ahead to transportation. If funding does come up, hazard mitigation will come back to the table, but we would likely, as we have previously, we usually get funding from the state, and then that goes with a consultant, and we just kind of oversee the project.
Great, thank you.
I have no report, but thank you guys for your patience. May we get the Borough Planning report, please? Commissioner Fikes?
There was a planning commission meeting on Monday, but there were no agenda items, so that was canceled. But there was a plat committee held, but I was not a participant of that, so I do not have the information on the plats, sorry.
Can we get a city council report? Councilmember Askin?
Certainly, thank you, Vice Chair. So the council met on May 21st. We had two scheduled public comments. The Alaska Christian College updated their status. They have, they're doing some pretty phenomenal things over there. They're debt-free, and I think they've served over 600 students have graduated from there in the last 20 years. Kenai Peninsula Children's Advocacy Centers came. Executive Director and Children's Advocacy Center Director Lindsay Collins was here. They were requesting funding, and we had some questions for them, and they are actually mandated by the state to provide services. So it looks like some funding will be coming from the federal side. So there will be more information on that later, I'm sure. We didn't have any unscheduled public comments, public hearings, amending the official zoning and land use table by rezoning 28 properties located near the intersection of Kenai Spur and Wildwood Drive. That was Weaver Brothers, RPM, Kenai Peninsula Driving. That was approved. It turned a bunch of those little lots from suburban residential to general commercial. Resolution 2025-32, declaring a right-of-way of 60 feet by 156 feet on Wildwood Drive. It's the property that Kenai Peninsula Driving owns. That resolution failed. And the reason for that is there is some agreements happening and discussions happening between Kenai Native Association, the state, and the city. And we wanted to get those resolved before we start vacating any properties. Resolution 2025-33, we authorize the award of CBRE Group to complete appraisal of the city-owned lands for possible future sale or whatever we decide to do with it. Resolution 2025-34, we authorize the city manager to enter into a janitorial agreement with the Kenai Peninsula Airport Terminal. And our unfinished business involved, it was ordinance number 3469-2025, and we wound up passing the substitute to that, which allows city employees to participate in open sales of land sales. That was not allowed before. And I think that's it. Oh, and then we extended the memorandum of understanding with the Kenai Historical Society, and I'm open for questions.
Did that include officers of P and Z and the council as well, or they were excluded?
It looks like they were excluded. It was to conflicts of interest that prohibited to allow city employees to participate in certain sales open to the public through public process and narrowing the existing prohibition on purchases to personal property.
Yes, thank you, Councilmember Askin. I know that I saw a report that there was some sort of water functioning happening in the mouth of the Kenai River with the bluff erosion opportunity that's going on down there. Do you have any update about that, please?
The only update that I have is Councilmember Nagstead has been posting practically daily on Facebook the updates. I think there's been one barge in, and they've already unloaded their rocks and has brought in a second barge, and the first one has gone back to Sandpoint to get the next load. So they're proceeding slowly.
Through the chair, just for the thing, one of the sergeants from the police department and myself have been flying a drone that the city got with this grant to monitor the bluff erosion project. So we are proposing to fly the same route pretty much every afternoon. So I have to get out of the office, I'm sorry. But keep flying it, and so the goal is to actually do a time lapse of when there was absolutely nothing to when it's complete. So we're flying the exact same route, same picture, same angle. So hopefully we can kind of see as it progresses.
Is that going to tie in with enforcement for dip netting? It is a police tool, right?
Is there anyone from public wishing to comment?
There are no members of the public online.
Our next meeting is scheduled for June 11th, but staff has reported that there are no agenda items and make the recommendation to hold the next meeting on June 25th.
Do you need a motion for that? Nope, okay.
So not the June 11th, just, okay.
Is anyone planning to be absent or attending remotely? Moving on to item L, commission comments and questions. Commissioner Reveal?
I just want to thank everybody for coming today, and I also want to thank everybody for keeping me in mind and speaking slowly so I can understand what's going on. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm good.
I'm good, thank you.
No comments.
I'd just like to reach out to staff and thank them for the thoroughness and attention to detail on the marijuana application. I know it's a sensitive subject for folks, but I absolutely agree it met all the standards, although it might not have been my choice either, much like the applicant or the individual testified, but it does meet the standards, and so for that, those were the reasons why I was voting for it. So thank you for the thoroughness. And then Council Askin, thanks for the update on that Christian college. I actually went by there today, and I've actually had the experience to watch them grow and communicate with the staff as well as the students, and they have been absolutely nothing but wonderful. And to hear that they actually tap into the remote interior villages, is my understanding, and encourage them to come into Kenai or Soldotna area to the college to further their education, and they're just thriving. They're so excited. They provide vans for them. They provide housing. I mean, it's phenomenal. And these kids, I've watched them, they're just on fire to learn. And so that we can be a part of that, I think is just amazing. So thank you.
What's really cool about that is they're debt-free. They're completely debt-free. So it can be done.
We have no pending items, and seeing no further business before this body, we are adjourned at 7:49 PM.